for retweeting Cheesehead TV the other day. The audience has grown from 3 to about 6 or 7.
Not about what you're capable of. It's about what you're willing to do.
Young Aaron Nagler have wanted a Raven to ride his bike.
100%, absolutely. But I will say, props to Arm because he owns it, right? He's a diehard, and he is like completely in his feelings for why he doesn't want a Raven touching his bike.
Now, please welcome from Cheesehead TV, Aaron Nagler and Bill Schmid.
Carry the G Radio, back at it on a Tuesday afternoon. Aaron Nagler coming to you live from New York City. Bill Schmid holding it down at the iHeart Metroplex in the greater Milwaukee area. Bill, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm doing much, much better here now, Nags, that we are sitting here at 2-1. Both of us were wrong about our week 2, week 3 predictions. Those are good things. Those are good wins for us to celebrate, and I'm fired up to be able to do it here for the next couple hours.
To be fair, those predictions were made in July? So,
I
don't think you can put too much stock into things that are being talked about when we're just trying to fill some air. Just trying to.
It was one of those great moments where you and I doing Carry the G Radio, the podcast, which really we could call the radio show the podcast as well if you want to, and it maybe makes us multi-time winners because we could also enter the iHeart Media Podcast Awards, iHeart Radio Show Awards. We could do both of them, and we could win both.
Imagine submitting this show for an award. That's amazing.
Imagine going to Las Vegas when we win the damn thing.
I'm down with that.
Let's be confident here into what's going to happen potentially. But that was, I think, a June or a July day where I'm like, you know what? We should win-loss the Packers schedule because that seems like something that guys doing a podcast by the Green Bay Packers should do in the middle of the offseason because we totally knew that they were going to be going in there with Malik Willis as the starting quarterback for the second straight time.
Unbelievable. If you could have gone back and told Aaron and Billy in July, by the way, Malik Willis, he's starting week 2 and 3. You got to, if you tell me that information in July, I'm like, well, the season's over. So what you're telling me is that
my fall just really opened up.
Everything just fell apart and it's all over by week 3 is what you're telling me. That's July version of Aaron would have thought exactly that. But, man, that has not been the case. Shout out to Malik Willis. Shout out to Matt LaFleur and his staff. And shout out to Jeff Hafley. You talk about unleashing the hounds on a young, struggling quarterback. Billy, how many times throughout the course of, say, the last 3 years, for no particular reason, just picking a number out of thin air, but over the last 3 years, have we watched young, struggling quarterbacks make mincemeat of the Packers defense? Not on Sunday, sir. On Sunday, Jeff Hafley said, no, we are coming after this kid. We got a 2-score lead. We are going to make his life hell. I, for one, love to see it.
And I think most importantly, Nags, if you're thinking December 24th, 2023, Packers and Panthers, seemingly
I don't know what you're talking about. Like I said, I pulled that name out of that number out of thin air. Just, last, say, 3 years or so.
Yeah, I believe the score was also 30-14 at one particular point in the late stages of the fourth quarter there.
Yes, sir.
And correct. Ultimately, you needed a Romeo Doubs 30-yard pass to set up a game-winning field goal at that exact time.
Yes, that's correct.
And that quarterback that just got benched after his 19th NFL start, the same one. It's fascinating to see the difference. And Nags, I'll tell you this. As an offensive line lover, I really appreciated the Packers' plan in the first couple of games, right? Like, I like that idea of let's not sack the quarterback, all right? Let's not add sacks to offensive lineman stat sheets because it's really the only stat you have, a negative one. That's really, really nice of the Green Bay Packers to do.
However, some places look at the pancakes. I'll admit it's not a widely accepted stat metric, what have you, but there are people who note.
Yeah, you know who notes them? Offensive line coaches.
That's true.
Generally in the meeting room is the only place that one gets celebrated. Sacks are the only one that people remember.
True.
The Packers made Nicholas Petitfurry the meme of the weekend. Yikes. With JJ Enigbare's swat of those hands face first into the turf, 1 of 8. And I guess we can finally say that Matt LaFleur was right. He wasn't lying to us when he said these guys are passing up sacks because they were all over that young quarterback, Will Levis, who, by the way, Department Nags, I still think the kid is okay, but he has no chance. He has no chance right now playing behind that unit and playing there in Tennessee at this point.
I love we got folks in the chat already sounding off. David starting off with the question of the week. The question of the week. Love or Willis against Minnesota? Now, I know LaFleur indicated yesterday that Jordan Love will most likely be limited on Wednesday when they're back on the practice field. But all signs would point, Billy, to Jordan Love returning to the lineup, given all the media reports around Jordan, his availability or lack thereof, but how it seems to be trending toward him being back out on the field on Sunday against the hated Minnesota Vikings. And I, for one, am excited to see it. That's just me. I got this whole weird vibe from some Packers fans about Malik Willis. They want to, don't rush back, Jordan, etc. Jordan's your guy.
What do you mean,
Jordan's
like this
your
one?
Leader.
You mean like angry casual fan? Jordan Love getting way too much money. We're winning with Malik for cheap.
What? When did fans become accountants? That's what I want to know.
Especially with not their money.
Not their money.
But Nags, if they're winning,
they're winning. Whether it's cheap or expensive, wins or wins. Like, why do you care what someone's getting paid? That's what I don't care. That's
if that deal had not been signed and this was pre-extension, you know that those comments would be much more vast and ever expanding on the Talking Text line and the YouTube chat. Many people would be wondering, hey,
talking about
hey, why are we spending all this money if we're doing this?
Well, why would you ever? Why we don't need to. Blah, 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 blah. Guys, it's a long season, and what the Packers have done is, I'm not going to say miraculous, but extremely impressive as far as taking a guy that they traded for in the building for a month, and they go out and win a couple games with him. It's impressive. But that's not how you live in the league. This stuff gets found out sooner rather than later. Remember last year when the Vikings lost their quarterback and then had to turn to a Josh Dobbs, who was the rage across NFL media for like 2 weeks. Whoa, look what the Vikings are doing with Josh Dobbs. And then what happened? Everyone remembered he was Josh Dobbs. It's a long season, and you do not want to live with Malik Willis for the whole year. I understand. It's been exciting, but you pay Jordan Love. You are behind Jordan Love 100%, you being the Packers, because he's your guy. You've planted your flag. That's your franchise quarterback. And I just can't fathom the mindset of a fan who is ready to jump ship. I don't get it.
Yeah. Our friend, the angry casual fan, he goes, I am an accounting student, to be fair. So I appreciate and understand why I guess he's rolling from the financial spot of it. But people do. People want to check the books. They're very, very into the numbers and the cap and how are these going to work.
Billy, his cap number is taking up a certain percentage of the cap, and you can't win with that.
That's the kind of shit I can't stand.
I had back-to-back.
You got it. You got me.
Terrestrial radio about it.
I got a little upset there. You got me.
I'm not positive we got it. Hopefully we did. You got it. If indeed there is a type of fan that will fire that one off, we had multiple on the post game, and instantly you go from we are winning with Malik Willis. We should trade him. Are you kidding me?
I saw that this morning.
Cash this out.
We're already. Yep.
We should go fantasy. We should get a 3rd round pick for our 7th round pick. Great business move. We also had the next text that came in was, dude, Malik's pretty good. What's his contract situation? Maybe we should extend him so he can be our backup quarterback for a couple more years. Like the all train is rolling through with where you want to go on the backup side. I'm with you. I'm most excited to see the starter back in the saddle again and back in the driver's seat, and also how the offense is going to drive, because last week you knew it was going to be a little different case than just Josh Jacobs for 30 plus totes. This week is going to be running back competition like no other. If you're thinking Aaron Jones isn't coming in here wanting to prove a point, you got something else coming. And if you don't think Josh Jacobs wants to validate for the Packers as to why they spent the money on him and not Showtime 33, you got another thing coming. I think this is going to be a beautifully run game, because both teams are going to be wanting to showcase those backs that they ended up swapping essentially for each other here in Green Bay.
I mean, you got to think this is a game that is going to be won through the running game. And that sounds weird when you probably will get Jordan Love back on the field. And certainly the Vikings like to throw the football. O'Connell's never met a down and distance that he doesn't want to throw. But I do think there's precious little to be gained by like this constant back and forth about should Jordan Love play, shouldn't he play? Man, we don't have the information. We don't know. If he's out there, that means the Packers medical staff has determined that there is no way that he can make it worse, that there's a risk of re-injury or taking a step backward, etc. Outside of the normal, well, he's playing the game of football and it is violent and things happen and guys get hurt. But outside of that, there's no way he's on the football field unless they are 100% certain that he is good to go.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. And to John and MKE, are you seriously that dumb to think that we are seriously not saying there's a Are you seriously saying there's no relationship between salaries and ticket prices? Not once did that come out of the mouth. When it's not your money, it is not your money in your bank account that you are personally spending and divvying out to players. I don't know what ear you heard that out of, but I would probably go clean it with a very, very large Q-tip.
See, look, man, fan how you want to fan. But if the first moment something happens on a football field, whether positive or negative, your correlation is what the guy's salary is or what his cap number might be, man, you're just, in my eyes, you're just wasting breath and time and space. Like, what are you doing? It's a game. Enjoy it. It's a diversion. Like, I understand. Yes, ticket prices are high. It's a billion, multi-billion-dollar business. No question about it. But, man, it's there for your enjoyment.
The ticket prices go into the pool of money that gets dispersed for player salaries. Your ticket price does not directly go and pay to, well, we're going to raise ticket prices because we signed Josh Jacobs $48 million. You know, we're going to have to raise these ticket prices.
Right.
I mean, sweet mercy. Nags, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't mean to go that route because we got people that do want to talk about the Packers. We got people that want to ask this question, like Chuck in Minneapolis.
What's up, Chuck?
Is Willis our Taysom Hill? By that, I mean, should we throw him in there randomly when Love is healthy to make defenses prepare for that much more each week?
Well, it sure seems like Matt LaFleur is going to ride that train as long as he can, as far as playing the game publicly in the media to ensure. And we already heard yesterday, O'Connell, the Vikings coach, talking about we will be preparing for both guys. I think LaFleur will keep that afloat as long as he possibly can, just to give the other teams more work. But I don't seriously expect Malik Willis to get much run, if any, once Love is back. The Taysom Hill thing, I understand the desire for that. You've certainly seen him able to use his legs, and you certainly like the idea of a wrinkle or two on the offensive side of the ball. But to me, you're just taking the ball out of Jordan Love's hands, and I don't see a reason to do that. Like, I understand people are, I guess, colored by the kind of uneven performance Jordan had down in Brazil. I would say that's one game, and even in that one game, he had a ton of really positive plays, big touchdowns, etc. Like, let's just breathe here. Like, let's let the kid hit the ground running and play some ball before we're all like, well, we should take him off the field for Malik Willis. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That's just how I roll.
I'm right there with you. I also don't believe that there is a I don't believe that Malik Willis is Taysom Hill. Like, I'm sorry. I know people still love the Taysom Hill effect. Taysom Hill is a linebacker's body who can play quarterback and has. Malik Willis is a bigger kid. He's a good athlete, fast, no doubt about it. He ain't playing tight end. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe Malik Willis is going to be down blocking out of the H-back role. Like, just because they're fast and can run well doesn't mean that he can also play tight end or, God forbid, wants to. Like, I know that there's a part of here that is going to be a want to game. Malik Willis got himself a fantastic opportunity in the NFL. I think he likes playing the quarterback position more than run out there whenever you potentially can.
And he's kind of resurrected his career. I mean, just in 2 weeks. I mean, you got to think whether it is people calling about a potential trade or whether it is, you know, the ability to solidify himself in Green Bay as the backup long term. Man, none of that stuff was being talked about 3 weeks ago. You know, like, it was how disappointing his time in Tennessee had been, how, he's broken, there's nothing salvageable there. Well, Matt LaFleur proved that incorrect in short fashion. And so now the discussion around this kid is very, very different, as it should be. Man, he's clearly put in the work, and he's certainly performed when called upon these last 2 weeks. So I'm happy for him. I'm excited about it, but I'm way more excited to get Jordan Love back out on the field, slinging the rock to these weapons.
You mean you're not excited to say, can they go wildcat like the other Paul and Grafton? Maybe even fake it and then have Willis throw it. But
Could
last
they?
night, Nags, they did
Yes.
that Wildcat thing.
Yeah.
You know, Jaden Daniels stood back there. They faked it to him, and
How
they
about
ran it. And
Jaden
I mean, they
Daniels?
gained like a full 3 yards.
How about Jaden Daniels, though? What a performance.
Nags, new thing. All right,
Yeah.
let me know how you feel about this. Carry
All
on
right.
the G.
I'm down.
Packers fans vested interest in Jaden Daniels. Not that you want him to be better than any other quarterback in the NFC, but I want him to be awesome because then we can continue to dunk on now. You've taken a quarterback in front of Mahomes. You traded away the potential to draft CJ Stroud. Now you miss Jaden Daniels and you take Caleb Williams. Fast, awesome.
It's 3 weeks.
We need it.
So early, but man, you can smell it cooking, right? You can definitely the wafting, the aroma wafting from the kitchen. It's like smelling like the Bears messed up again, right? You are
starting to feel that
definitely
way.
smelling it. And just watching the juxtaposition of Caleb Williams on Sunday against the Colts and their offensive line being unable to basically function.
Mm-hmm.
And then you juxtapose that with the approach last night from the Commanders and really supporting their young quarterback. It just leans into, the Bears just ruin quarterbacks. They don't know how to handle the position. And they are on the way. They are on their way to messing this one up.
I want the side-by-side picture of Jaden Daniels screaming at the Cincinnati crowd as they're walking away last night and costing me money on the money line to then Caleb Williams sitting there with the Justin Fields face of
the shot from week
awesome.
2.
That's a beautiful side-by-side.
Down in Houston when he's literally on the bench in the exact same uniform as Justin Fields, and both of them had their heads back. Like, what is this life?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then just Jaden Daniels just celebrating after throwing an absolute dimer to finish somebody off in his first Monday night start. Yeah, they might have messed it up again. They might have just done it again next.
Now it's early. But we're allowed to be hopeful here. And I am. I really think they're probably going to mess this kid up.
Yeah, I think they might too. And now we aren't messing this thing up. We're going right back to the Green Bay Packers. Don't think this is a Commanders show. Nope. We got a lot of messages on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. Plenty on the YouTube chat as well.
Yep.
People want to know how we're going to utilize this 2-quarterback system. Now we got 2 quarterbacks. We might got 2 quarterbacks next.
Not going to be two, 3 quarterbacks thrown out there at times.
2, 3 quarterbacks, or maybe just one, and you can love seeing Jordan Love back in action. You'll hear Aaron Nagler and Billy Schmid back on the game and Cheesehead TV YouTube right after this.
Care of the G Radio rolling on. I'm gonna try and avoid the dump button this segment, though. I feel like you got it, Billy. I told you you got it. So we're good. We're gonna try to not lose our license this segment.
Well, you know what? Listen, some people think that's more fun. If we do, we'll see. It should be okay. I think we'll make do of it, and it's understandable because you start having so much fun. I almost cursed like twice today, and actually, our friend Armin Sarian almost did too. And then that's when you're having fun.
Now you know you're cooking.
That's when you know you're having fun. So you're walking into a buzzsaw because we are red hot here. The club's been going up all day long here on 97.3 The Game. So when Carry the G Radio starts up, who couldn't have anticipated? It was like almost even money for there to potentially be a dump button drop there in segment number 1.
Had to be done. Speaking of Armin, man, shout out Armin. You talk about a guy who is constantly talking about like giving out purity tests for fandom. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one does it better. No one does it. I don't agree with everything he says, but man, you talk about having like a spine. You have like the bones of which all of you is hanging off of. Mm-hmm. That kid never misses. He is always on point with, man, if you're a fan, this is what you got to be doing. And if you're not doing this, you're not a fan.
Yeah. Like, and then 5 seconds later to be like, oh, listen, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean to be mad. I didn't mean to be mean, but that is what I feel. This is how it is. My man literally said, if you are not a fan of the hometown team, you are wrong. Yeah. This is the correct way to go. And then like a minute and a half later, like, listen, I'm not saying I don't mean that. I don't mean it.
Because I love that you instantly said, well, if your parents are transplants and they're born into the fandom of a team that is not where you live, like, is that not allowed? Well, that's not what I meant. Well, okay, then all right. Yeah. Relax.
Listen, Nags, I'm watching too many debates. I'm in on the fact checking. So like you got to find ways to have some fun with it. And there is a Packers Vikings brings this conversation to the forefront because there are a lot of transplants on both sides. There are a lot of people that live in a different spot because maybe a husband, wife, significant other, family member moved. Yeah. Somebody's still crying over spilled milk. Number 4 definitely moved the needle and moved some fans in a couple of different ways. So this is as much as living in the southeastern portion of the state my entire life. Bears Packers is the one that I am affected by more personally with the amount of fans that I have.
Sure.
I know more Viking fans that are just crossbred, if that makes sense.
That does.
Than there are Bears Packers fans.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I think there's 0 doubt there. Though I will say the Vikings, man, it's so interesting to watch their fortunes rise and fall, and then the fandom start to kind of puff their chest out a little bit as they improve or string a few wins together, and then how silent they go in the offseason every year. They're like the opposite of Bears fans. Like the Bears fans are so delusional and it doesn't matter, and they're going to talk about how they're going to win all these games and go to the playoffs and maybe win a Super Bowl, blah, 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 each and every year. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter who the coach or any of the players are. Like they are so sure that this is the year, as opposed to Vikings fans who are just like, oh, we watched our team kind of peter out there at the end of the season and now we stink again and we're not gonna, like, they're not as kind of confident as Bears fans are, but now they're getting their confidence back because they've won 3 games in a row and they're coming into Lambeau and they've been scoring all these points and Flores is dialing up these exotic looks. Does anyone remember what happened down the stretch last year? Does anyone remember how, like, New Year's Eve when Jordan Love and company went into their place? All the talk was, oh, Flores is dialing up all this exotic stuff, and the Packers systematically took it all apart. Did I dream that? Like, I'm not completely dismissing it. I think they're talented. I think they've still got lots of talent on that side of the ball. I think there's 0 doubt it's going to be a real test for this Green Bay Packers offense. But man, it's like all of a sudden, oh, this is like the 85 Bears. They're unconquerable. You can't solve this. I think Matt LaFleur's got a thing or two for this Vikings defense on Sunday.
Yeah, in the Vikings defense offense conversation, Nags, is a fascinating one. I'm more impressed with their offensive side than I am the defensive side, even though I think Brian Flores is excellent. don't know that he gets another opportunity to be a head coach. And maybe the Vikings have struck gold in that situation, right? A guy who
can be there long term with their
can be there long term
exactly.
and not leave. Yep. He loves the situation. Kids are going to high school and playing sports in Eden Prairie, what have you, with all this. Like that's good chicken soup for Viking fans. But I'm more impressed with Kevin O'Connell. I think he's one of the best coaches in football. So like to be able to see their offense with Darnold, I think is more nerve-wracking than what their defense did. I still remember their offense coming in here, Nags, last year, and before Kirk Cousins went out,
they were marching
with the torn Achilles.
They
were donkey stomping the Green Bay Packers.
Correct.
I mean, like let's call it what it was.
Yep.
It was a dominating performance last year in October at Lambeau. And there were 3 offensive first downs in the first half. I think 1 or 2 via penalty. And the offense got booed off the field for like the 3rd time in 3 home games. Like it is a much different situation coming in this time around than the last time Jordan Love got his first home start against the Minnesota Vikings. I think there's a lot of energy on the Packers side that might be getting slept on here, but make no mistake about it.
Agree.
This is a much more even battle than in my lifetime, in my remembering, in my trash talking time of being a Packers fan. This is much more of a back and forth battle than the one towards the South ever has been. This is an even march when both teams in their good and bad years nip each other. And it is almost always a 1-for-1.
Always. I mean, go back to 96 when they lose 3 games that year, go on to the Super Bowl, number 1 defense, number 1 offense. One of those 3 losses that year was in Minnesota. It's been this way forever, right? It's in the blood of these franchises, as opposed to the Bears where they, won 10 in a row. And is that even a rivalry anymore? Who knows? But I will say the thing with the Vikings that's going to be fun to watch is Kevin O'Connell's approach to this game. Now, you absolutely correct. He is a good young coach. But I don't know if you remember this. After the game on New Year's Eve last year, the very terse handshake between O'Connell and LaFleur. And I don't know if there's bad blood there or whatever, but I think the way, LaFleur is still dialing up huge shot plays for his backup quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
You remember Bo Melton catching a 45-yarder or whatever it was.
Getting to 100.
I think O'Connell didn't appreciate that. I'm very interested to see what the approach is here, especially with I'm going to try and beat you with your old running back that you deemed, not worth giving another contract to, etc. Wanted him to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Well, here comes a very Aaron Jones-centric game plan at you. That's what I fully expect on Sunday afternoon.
Just pray it's not like the Dalvin Cook 4-touchdown game where it was just the most disappointing situation. That was 2020. That was the MVP.
Yeah, that was.
If I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Correct, right?
It was the windy day. It was during the pandemic. There were no fans in the stands, and they just remember there was a really weird first half where I think both teams had 2 possessions.
And
then
Cook scored 2 touchdowns, and then
both scored 2 touchdowns.
Dagger in the second half.
And then the second half, the Packers really kind of stubbed their toe on offense, and they couldn't stop the Vikings on the ground. They didn't need to throw it because Cook was just running and running and running. I don't know if it's exactly that on Sunday. In fact, I expect it won't be, but I do think Aaron Jones is going to touch the ball early and often, and he has been really productive for them so far. So
I would love
that's a Halfley test right there.
A big time Halfley test, and he's so far past most of the tests with flying colors. I'm wondering if anybody's got the L t-shirt.
Beautiful.
Anybody have the L t-shirt from Aaron Jones asking the Minnesota Vikings to hold that thing?
I haven't seen a t-shirt made out of it, but man, somebody has that sign ready to go at
Gotta
Lambeau
have that thing ready
Sunday.
to go at Lambeau. Yes.
That little fracas after the game last year, Aaron Jones getting involved and throwing up the L to whoever that Vikings corner was. Absolutely need a picture of that at Lambeau. Somebody needs to be at Lambeau Field with a huge sign with that picture on it. That's what we need.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of being able to see that, and I do expect Lambeau to be a really excited spot. Now I do expect to see quite a bit of purple because they're going to be excited about their team. Like that's for sure.
Oh, see, I like how you're already hedging. So when we see all that purple, we know it's not in your world. It's not the gold package's fault. It's just
because
Vikings fans are just really excited.
Yeah, you didn't see any of that Colt blue. You were very quiet on all the Colt blue.
I see where you're going.
That was in attendance in the home opener.
I see what you're doing, Billy. You're not slick. You're not smooth.
What?
Like I get what you're doing. You're cutting down the expectation already. I understand.
No, I didn't listen. Listen, you and the perch there in the New York City office were unable to see the amount of blue that was walking through at the home opener for green package tickets. All right. Now they were a little quiet because it was 16-3 for a while. There were a lot of Jonathan Taylor and Peyton Manning jerseys walking around that place. A lot of Jeff Saturday situations.
Did you see the picture from the Rams game against the 49ers? A game that the Rams ended up winning. But there was a shot. Somebody took a shot from like one of the far end zone shots, and it was almost all red. I mean, all 49er red. I mean, can't wait for the Packers game. That's going to be green and gold.
That's going to be very green and gold out. There's a massive amount of Packers fans living in California that are very, very excited and chomping at the bit for that one. But I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I do believe, Nags, that there are multiple different recipes for this game to go. Like I've seen, I could feel this thing being played in a multitude of different ways that I have no real lean at this moment over under. I got a strong lean towards a 2.5, but I think that's a very nice number. If you're a Vikings investor, maybe you end up getting that thing up to 3 at one particular point. Like I
think it will. Especially, I think it will move. It will move depending on the Love news, right? And how kind of much it looks like he will or won't play. I think that. Well,
and I think that the way they slated it, they're leaning at Love playing. Like Packers aren't a 2.5 point favorite if they think this is a Malik Willis game, at least in my humble opinion.
I don't know. After the way they've handled business these last 2 weeks, and I understand they haven't beat a couple of world beaters, but they are NFL football games, and they have and thoroughly dominated the last game. I mean, that doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? The Jets had to struggle to win that game late against the Titans. The Packers came in to that against that same Titans team and absolutely stepped on their throat.
Yeah,
you want to talk about Packers team's pretty freaking good, man.
No, I get it, but Nags, you talk about dominating. Let's also talk about dominating the darlings that were the Houston Texans at this point. So I mean, like, I get it. There's a lot of excitement.
Did you watch that game, by the way? Did you watch any of the Texans Vikings?
I watched a decent amount of it back. I didn't watch it live.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, because it was interesting to see the kind of the game flow there, right? The way the Vikings got turnovers early. That is, really hard in that building to come back from. I mean, how many times have we seen the Packers go in there and have a turnover early and the thing kind of spirals and gets away from you? I mean, not so much under Aaron Rodgers,
where a lot of
definitely back during Brett Favre's time.
That's fair. And that's where a lot of that energy for Flores is coming, because CJ Stroud didn't turn the football over, and they forced him into those turnovers. So I'm really, really excited. I mean, like, I know people are juiced up more for the Sunday night game, and that's going to get a lot of the headlines nationally.
Right. Yeah.
Hard to say this ain't a game of the week there in that noon window, Packers and Vikings.
I'm excited to watch the Packers run game get after it against the Vikings, because, look, they want you in 3rd and long. They want you in obvious passing situations. That's where Flores is cooking up all this exotic stuff, right? But everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. In the last 2 weeks, the Packers have been able to run the ball against teams that knew they wanted to run the ball. Now, you throw that in there with your regular starting quarterback at the helm, you can really cook with some gas. So that, to me, is the entire kind of approach if you're Matt LaFleur. You just keep doing what you've been doing these last couple of weeks in the run game. I mean, you could even go back to the second half against the Eagles in week 1. I mean, literally, other than a handful of carries at the start of the season from Josh Jacobs that went nowhere against the Eagles front, they have run the ball effectively.
Well,
and that is something that wasn't happening at the beginning of last year. It is happening this year.
Not to certain people's liking, Nags. One message we got right away on Packers OT on the Packers Radio Network, if you'd like to listen to us post-game on your ride home. Individual did ask us, do you think they need to fire this offensive line coach? Because they have a lot of penalties and maybe a little bit too much. They might need a new offensive line coach.
Billy
was the question that I got.
I'm too tired. I'm too tired for that nonsense. Are we what are we doing here? We're thoroughly dominating teams up front, and we have to fire the offensive line coach because somebody got called for a hold or had a false start. Is that what we're doing?
They're teaching them to hold, Nags.
Why does everybody call for everyone to be fired after there's something in a game?
Somebody's got to be held accountable here.
Accountability,
that's Nags.
They have accountability. To be held accountable. That is
I'm held accountable.
The worst development in fandom, even worse than the old I'm watching the dollars and cents for my favorite team.
Someone has to be held accountable.
Well, shut up. Shut up. No one's going to. You know where accountability happens? Inside the building.
Yeah.
You
aren't there.
Texting
You won't
or calling
understand.
in. That's not accountability. That's just frustration.
You can't understand it. You can't understand the accountability. I know you think you do.
But,
I know you think you understand. I know you think you know, but you don't know.
No.
And
you never will.
And you never will. But you might
Shut
be a little
up.
smarter hanging
Shut
out
up,
with
Mark.
Aaron Nagler and I here for Cheesehead TV and 97.3 The Games. Carry the G. More next on The Game.
There we go. We're rolling on Carry the G Radio. Some silky smooth tunes right there, Bill Schmid. Coming to you live on a Tuesday afternoon.
Hitting one of these commercial-free rock tunes to be able to hang out with you on your lunch break. You think you're breaking away from the office? We're breaking in with the Eagles. It's one of these nights on the game. Right. See, I didn't time it up right. I didn't have the
It was pretty good though.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It was pretty good. You know what else was pretty good this past weekend? Malik Willis.
Yeah,
I understand people getting excited about this kid because my goodness. I mean, there's so many things you can look at, so many stats, so many metrics, and the blah, blah, blah. And like it kind of gets lost in the wash because it all at some point starts to blend together. But this is pretty amazing. Felipe from Cheesehead TV, one of our contributors, just put this out there, and I absolutely adore it. Malik Willis's passer rating during his time at Tennessee was 39.0. Billy, if you spike the ball on every single play, your rating is 39.6. Yeah. So it was below spiking the ball into the ground on every play. That was his rating, quarterback rating, as a Titan. After 2 games with the Green Bay Packers, Willis's rating is 122.7, and his turnover-worthy play percentage is 0.0%. It's pretty good, Billy.
Yeah, it doesn't suck. It doesn't suck. There's a lot to it. There's a lot that is at play with it. I just think there's a lot of credit that goes to as well. Absolutely the offensive line, absolutely running backs. Man, this wide receiver room is not going to get enough love and appreciation for the work that they did. There's a lot of checking yourself at the door when you know that you're going to throw the ball. Over the last 2 games, now my math's not great. I studied how to learn and annoy people for a living. I studied how to learn to annoy people for a living. 33 times over 2 games. That's not going to be what a whole lot of people like. In that wide
receiver, right?
In the wide receiver room, not a whole lot of guys going to be fans of that, especially Nags in this part that we talk about the young nucleus, about how fun it is, and everyone's like-minded, and everyone's in the same spot. They're also in the position where Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, they're going to need to get paid next year. Yeah, so for them to for them not to be able to make sure that they're writing down stats and checking boxes and going into a contract year, that says something to it. I thought Christian Watson's statement was elite at his locker last week, where he's like, I'm going to judge it on winning games. I played in a college offense that, I mean, hell, if they threw the ball 15 times for the Bison in North Dakota State, something went horrendously wrong. You had to take advantage of every opportunity you got. 9 did this past week, and they're earning every single one of them on the outside.
Oh, the number of times in this game where there was essentially a old school Lombardi-like alley for either the running back or even on one of the wide receiver screens, just an alley created by the blocking downfield, mostly by those wide receivers. It was so impressive. And it happened multiple times. It happened at least 4 or 5 different plays where we've got the ball on the perimeter, guy turns upfield, and there is legit an alley for him to run through, just walled off. You won't be touched for a good 8, 9, 12 yards. That doesn't just happen. That's obviously you're producing your absolutely, you have the player, you have to make it happen. Man, the coaches clearly have drilled this in. It is part of the culture. It is 100% no block, no rock. Well, guess what? Christian Watson blocked his butt off against the Colts. He got rewarded with the rock a couple of times on Sunday against the Titans.
An awesome video. I don't know if you saw, you probably did, on the social medias. I don't know whichever one
social medias.
Frequent.
I'm familiar with them.
Some guy was standing out. A couple of fans were standing outside the tunnel or outside of the exit when the players were going to the buses and were yelling at LaFleur. And my man doesn't smile a whole lot, right?
No,
Matt doesn't smile a whole lot. There's not, I assume there's a lot of things that do bring him happiness. We don't really get to see a whole lot of them. That one did seem to bring him some joy because he laughed and held the hand up and even gave a little, come on, like, come on, let me hear a little bit more of that. Come on.
Kind of like it's third down.
Come on.
Lambo. His defense is on the field.
Get it going. Come on. Why would you want to talk to your quarterback making his 4th start on the bench? Instead, you could be cranking up the fans. Like, that sounds like way more way more important to be doing. But yeah, we appreciate it. Come on, let's go. Let's get loud.
I told you lately that I just love football season. Like all the stuff we pick apart, all the stuff we overanalyze or try to like find meaning behind when it's like it just kind of happens. But we will find ways to pick it apart and like, blow it up into some huge narrative or completely dismiss it, and then it will come back and bite us. Like, I just love football season.
Yeah, and then
last night, those two games in conjunction with each other, it's beautiful. I love football season. It's the best.
Oh, okay. Hold on now. Let me just get a clarifying statement here from Aaron Nagler.
Oh, here we go. I know where this is going.
Of the Cheesehead TV Bureau.
Yes, sir.
For or against the simultaneous Monday night doubleheader?
Is it more football in my life? I'm for it.
Well, it is more football at the same time, where the old doubleheader of 6 o'clock, 9:15 kickoff.
I would prefer that.
Okay, all right.
But that's not
the right answer.
But that wasn't how the question was presented to me.
No, it was poorly worded. Worded. Now, fact checking over here at the moderator table. Aaron Nagler, if given the opportunity when you become commissioner of the NFL,
God help us, yes.
You and Roger Goodell are hanging out, so it makes sense that he's just going to name his number one right-hand man. Yeah. Would you make and mandate the Monday night doubleheaders, which I appreciate there being multiple of throughout the season, as the 6 and 9:15 window, or the ESPN kickoff at 6:30, ABC kickoff at 7:15?
No,
doubleheader.
A is the only answer. It's the only acceptable answer here. 100% have that 6:15 or whatever kickoff. Have that game just wrap up and then slide right into another game. That's the way it should be. Now, I'm sure there are a million different reasons programming-wise, ESPN, ABC, Disney want to do it this way. I don't agree with any of them, but I'm sure there are. But, man, those games where you have the West Coaster out late.
Nothing better than that.
I love it. I love
NFL After Dark.
That's one of the things that college does well, by the way. Like they have those, those UCLA tilts on at 10 p.m. my time. I'm all about it. I
really hoping that USC or UCLA doesn't give one of those, get one of those for the Badgers games when your boy might potentially be doing the post game. Love it. 2:30 kickoff, CBS. Great work for Saturday.
That media contains the word me in it, and that's what Billy's concerned about here.
I was also worried about Mike Heller. Now, Mike Heller will be back tomorrow. I've gotten calls about Mike Heller.
Right.
Mike Heller is flying back from L.A., and then going to be at Lambeau in the morning for Packers preview. Negs, that thing was that 10 o'clock start locally for you?
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Heller would have been going from the runway to the car to Lambeau Field and
the
light end zone bar.
You'd have had one of those like mobile units in the car, getting off the plane, sliding right into a seat in the back seat, get that headset on.
This
is Mike Heller, the Mike Heller Show, coming to you from the drive from Austin Stroll Airport to Lambeau Field.
Even better. He'd have landed in Madison and then had to drive.
Oh, there you go. No, not fun. I'm thinking Milwaukee, not up 43. That would be totally different.
Oh, it would
have
been fun.
To drive up the side there,
Oh yeah, it would have been fun. Now he's one of my favorite guys. I was pulling for it. Like I just wanted to listen. Next, sometimes we need some adversity in this world. Adversity,
and it's how you handle it. How do you rise to the occasion?
Yep.
And how do you learn from it and develop from it? Much like your Green Bay Packers on offense last year, hopefully on defense this year. That's what happens, man. You figure it out on the job, a little bit of on the job training. Take your lumps, learn from it, and then you blossom. You grow, you develop, and you dominate.
You're forged through that fire, and a diamond comes out. And that's really what the noon to 3 usual show is. But Carry the G Radio supersedes on Tuesdays and dominates those airwaves. And Heller thanks us because the ratings suggesting it's working. That's
we're back. We're up to 12, maybe 13 people now.
I don't know why. I don't know where you're misrepresenting these numbers. Did you not get the messages that 458,000 listeners?
Hey man, those downloads they keep coming
ever expanding. It's incredible, and it's amazing how one man just continuing to hit re-download and undownload, download, undownload, download, undownload, download, undownload.
My dad in Appleton doing all the heavy lifting here,
and me on the porcelain throne. That's Aaron Nagler. I'm Billy Schmid. It's Carry the G Radio, the podcast radio show on Cheesehead TV, YouTube, and 97.3 The Game. Hour 2, right after this. She's got the touchdown locked down in a smile, but nothing is all.
Air the G Radio, Hour 2, rolling on. Billy holding it down there in Milwaukee. Aaron coming to you live from New York City. Billy, now we've talked a lot already about this game coming up against the Vikings and the work that, Malik Willis has done these last 2 weeks. And we've touched on the quarterbacks because that's what you talk about. Jordan Love potentially coming back. We're very excited about that. But I want to talk about some guys in the trenches. I want to talk about the big uglies, one on each side of the ball, who maybe coming into this season didn't have the greatest shine around them. Probably weren't getting a ton of love, maybe even some derision from the fan base. But, man, two guys who I thought played extremely well in that game down in Tennessee and who I think have had pretty decent seasons so far through their first 3 games are on the defensive side of the ball, Devontae Wyatt, and on the offensive side of the ball, Josh Myers.
Hey.
Myers in particular is the guy I know a lot of fans have, angst about, misgivings about. He's always kind of propped up on social media as this kind of whipping boy. But, man, these last 2 games in particular, Myers has played very well. Really solid ball. And this stuff that they're doing on offense with a backup quarterback doesn't just happen without the center being on point, making the calls, all IDs, everything that's being asked to do that he usually does in concert with Jordan Love. He's taken a lot of that off of Malik Willis's plate and allowed Willis to focus on being smart with the football, playing at a high level. Josh Myers has played well. And then, again, on the flip side, Wyatt, I tell you what, he sure seems to, we talked about it a lot this summer on Air the G Radio, the podcast, but this scheme seems to really fit him. You saw that in evidence in spades on Sunday. No question.
He's playing TJ Slayton off the field.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like, and Devontae Wyatt's going to continue to play himself onto the field into pass rush downs, which I thought was going to be his best thing in the NFL, was being able to pass rush from that 3-tech spot anywhere up front, man. He definitely seems to be a massive upgrade for this scheme. And I'm glad that you mentioned Myers, because I'm going to watch myself here, because I really,
we don't need 2 dump button incidents in one show. Come on.
No, I'm going to,
we play it clean here.
Potentially offend some people, and I don't necessarily mean to, but the grading posse, right? The graders online like to let you know and say, oh, this is just unacceptable from Josh Myers. I mean, like, this is terrible. Like, how on earth are you going to play with this? How on earth are you going to also play with the right side, the one that, oh, by the way, you are playing somewhat tied because you're snapping the football with your right hand. When your right guard's rotating left and right, not knowing who's playing over there, and they both are completely different players last year, I thought Myers played exceptionally well down the stretch.
The last 4 or 5 games, agreed.
With that to his right, Nags. And that wasn't going to be highlighted because people had made a decision on Josh Myers.
Oh, a lot of confirming of priors when it comes to Josh Myers.
And and I understand why some of the angst came. When you watch Creed Humphreys be taken right after him and instantly be an all-pro,
it colors your entire perception. People are upset to this day about it. Yep.
Can we also make mention that Josh Myers basically lost his entire rookie year due to an
injury against the Bears? Yep, no doubt.
And then still to be able to come back late into the season, and I thought he played well in that playoff game, but that's neither here nor there. Like, he has, at multiple stops in multiple instances, even though the graders online said last year, this guy stinks.
Well, this is my
terrible.
problem.
And then all of a sudden, Matt LaFleur walks up and like, listen, fellas, I'm sorry.
Myers.
He's playing better than you guys understand. You won't understand. You can't understand.
And you
He's
never
playing
will.
better than you, and you never will. You won't understand it.
It's like, look, I understand there are bad plays, and he certainly put a few on tape throughout his time in Green Bay. There is zero doubt about it. I ain't denying it. But to me, what gets lost is all the good stuff he puts on tape that never gets highlighted. Like, I understand, like, there are frustrating moments. And at the beginning of the year, I think the sentiment around him was, well, they can't be a top flight offense with him. Well, they were a top flight offense with him last year. Now, what you needed was an elimination of the inconsistency from Josh Myers. That's what kills you on the offense, as far as plays where either he gets blown up or misses an assignment or has a holding penalty or whatever. Those are the plays and the stretches that really hurt the offense. Man, again, these last 2 weeks, it's been on point from whistle to whistle. he has been there, down in and down out, doing his job at a high level. I mean, if we're going to talk about Josh Myers and the issues and whatever, when things are cropping up and there are some inconsistencies, I want to give the man his flowers when he's playing well. Because Billy, you're an offensive line guy. When do we talk about these guys?
Only
when they aren't playing well,
yeah.
when they get a penalty, or they get blown up. We aren't talking about them when they're playing really well on a consistent basis, down in and down out. Maybe they're not road graders. Maybe they're not like making highlight reels, but he's playing well. And that's what we've wanted to see from Josh, and it's seemingly finally arrived.
Yeah, and there weren't a whole lot of beautiful ISO cams of him later into the season doing that. Instead, it was
barely are.
So Zach Tom, if we play him over here, then we move this guy there, move that guy here, and then we'll have our best five. Well, maybe you had the best five and you keep it where it is. Like, think of also, and this was a part of the joke that I made of the call or texter that asked if they needed to fire the offensive line coach because of the penalties. You're playing with Josh Myers and Elton Jenkins, your only day 2 or second round picks. Sean Ryan, third round pick. 2 offensive tackles that were both day 3 picks, one of which was in the 7th round. And again, we'll highlight the holding penalties from Rasheed Walker. John Kuhn said it exceptionally well yesterday. Watch the play and see him in perfect position. He needs to drop the lead hand, finish with the back arm, and know when to let go. You can teach somebody to know when to let go. Teaching somebody to be in proper position and having somebody reach down the outside, that is something that you either are good at doing or you're not. His feet are fantastic on the outside. I think he's going to be able to clean that stuff up here into the year more, where once again, you play more football.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing. You talk about highlighting what Josh Myers does well or poorly, etc. Man, again, you all see, or we all see, the holding calls because they get highlighted, because obviously it's very frustrating when you have a big play or an explosive play that gets called back, everyone gets frustrated, etc. But what we don't get highlighted or seen or shown on replays instantly in the game are some of these explosive runs to the outside or swing passes where we got guys on the perimeter in space, and there is Rasheed freaking Walker 10 yards down the field sealing it off for getting in, to your point, perfect position to take a linebacker out or completely wash a safety out. Like, those are the things that we aren't kind of highlighting, seeing as, what content creators, general public, what have you. Twitter isn't highlighting that stuff, but it's there. It's on the tape, and it's high level, really good stuff. But because of the penalties, people are like, oh, Rasheed Walker, he's problematic, or I guess
maybe we're going to start Jordan Morgan there once he starts playing better.
That we need to fire the offensive line.
Yeah, maybe you need to call David Bakhtiari. Like, there are a lot of different things that are rumbling through people's minds, and it's a unit that's getting better. Like, end of last year, they were one of the best offensive lines in football. I think they're going to be one of the best offensive lines in football at the end of the day. And I'm glad you mentioned Myers, because he does get the unfair scrutiny because he's not Creed Humphrey. I think he's a good player. Do I think that he's, Nags, where you extend and give massive money to? That I don't know. That's going to be something they have to decide.
That's what this year is about.
And the continuity that they want to keep.
This year is all about.
They're making a lot of decisions on that offensive line this year, and they'll learn that. Man, Sean Ryan has played really, really well, taking advantage of the opportunity that he's been given with Jordan Morgan's multiple injury, right? Like, you think back in training camp,
they wanted Morgan to have that job.
He basically had it.
No doubt about
that. Yes. You were watching practices, and you were there at that time where they basically said, all right, brother, go take it.
Your job.
And then he gets hurt. And he's not able to perform in any of the games. And you're like, well, we got to play Sean Ryan, but we got to be able to play Jordan Morgan. We got to be able to train him. We got to let him learn on the field. And I mentioned it this week, and Kuhn shot it down, rightfully so, where he's like, listen, I still think they're going to rotate him because you have to. That's the only way that he's going to get better.
Field and get him developed. Yeah.
But from the performance side, if it was solely on the performance, I think Ryan has played well enough where he deserves to be on the field consistently. They won't do it. I do still think they will start rotating once Morgan's healthy enough. But man, 75 has played very, very well. And we already knew he could run block, but you've been seeing that the last 2 weeks.
The pass sets have improved. There's zero doubt about that. The thing with Morgan, what really stinks is that, I mean, there's probably a chance that he gets put on IR today. Like, given that shoulder, the fact that it's been re-injured, who knows? We'll see. Maybe we get some kind of news in that regard, but it just stinks that, you get so excited for this young guy to get out there and get his first kind of blush of NFL action. And he's just been hurt. It's like, Marshawn Lloyd, the same thing, man. He just finally gets his feet wet a little bit and he gets hurt. And been a lot of injuries with this rookie class so far, but who knows, as far as, to your point, as they continue to develop, who knows where Sean Ryan ends up. I mean, what's nice, I think, as far as the offensive line goes, I mentioned it earlier. They were stinking out loud when it came to trying to block in the run game last year. That first month plus of the season, they have obviously started out in a different zip code this year. It is another world. They are actually finishing. They are effective, man. And this is the beginning. I do think they will play and improve as the season goes on. There's no telling where the ceiling is with this group. I mean, Zach Tom's pitching shutout after shutout after shutout.
Yeah, and
that's just the start.
Yeah, and I don't know where Matt in Milwaukee heard this part of it. He said, I understand standing up for Josh Myers, but to say Zach Tom is only a day 3 pick, Tom is the second best right tackle behind the man in Detroit. Don't know where
was he selected? Where was he picked?
He was picked in
David Bakhtiari was a day 3 pick. It's not a denigration, it's a fact.
Yeah, and I think more it speaks to how good they are able to, at one, identifying the player,
identify that talent, develop that talent.
And trust that the dude plays. Like Nags, he was a day 3 pick, and many people thought he would move to center after playing left tackle because he was too small. And the Packers were like, look at my man's feet. Like, look at the way he moves out there. Maybe he does play a little bit more tackle. And I know the Domofsky report. I
was just going to say, it doesn't help when Domofsky's out here going, well, somebody told me they think he's a Hall of Fame center. Yeah. Well, then, of course, the general public is going to be.
I bet his agent does.
Maybe we should play him at center.
I bet his agent does think so. And I'm not saying that that's where he got it from, right? I'm like, that is 1,000% Rob. I apologize. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm denigrating your report. But like, right. That's the furthest thing from it. But it's like, you give credit to where they're at in developing these players at that spot. It is remarkably difficult to do, and identifying that talent wherever you get him, like that's a fact of it. He was a day 3 pick, and he is right now one of the best right tackles in football. I also think there's a reason why you keep him at right tackle. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. No. And Josh Myers is allowing you to keep him on the outside where he's doing fantastic work so far.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, let's not forget Devontae Wyatt here in this conversation, or the big uglies who are really kind of coming along. You said it, you spot on as far as TJ Slayton was your nominal starter, right, all summer long. When they were the ones against the ones, it was always TJ out there first. And we kind of suspected this might happen. I always thought, it would probably be somewhat opponent-driven situationally as far as what kind of down and distance it is, but also what kind of offense they run, how many, guys do they have? Are we do 11? Are we doing 12 personnel? What are they doing? I think Devontae Wyatt is answering a lot of questions because it's been a bit hit and miss his first couple years in the league. But, man, he is playing like a man possessed. And I do think we're going to continue to see him causing major problems in certain passing situations. I don't think he's going to, he's arrived by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he's a dominant all-pro player or anything like that. But it's worlds better this year so far than we've seen through the first couple seasons from Wyatt. I don't think there's any doubt there.
Maybe not all pro, but you're starting to now, he'll phase out of hopefully bust territory for many people, right? Like people wanted to throw him instantly in. What a waste of a draft pick at 28 overall. And
patience, that's why.
Well, very much so. Nags, that's a P word a lot of people don't like. But if you think about his development in the arc, it's very similar to how the Packers do it with young defenders, right? Quay Walker is the oddity where you are instantly inserted into the starting lineup if you're a first-round pick for the Packers on the defensive side. Eric Stokes had to, in his rookie year, play a bunch. I don't think that was the plan. I don't think they
was
wanted
not
to.
The plan.
They definitely were going to play Jair Alexander-Moore in his first year, but I don't remember him first week being the number one guy traveling with dudes. Like, there's going to be a development behind vets and behind players. We only talk about it more at the quarterback spot because it gets highlighted, and they're one of the only teams that ends up only
really actually doing it.
Really doing it and having and preaching the patience. But there was patience that was needed with Wyatt. The stunt game, though, with him, I think is the bigger part of why he could be and is right now a huge difference maker, because that first step, Nags, to be able to blow up the inside of a guard or the inside of a tackle and allow for an Agbare, Van Ness, Gary Smith, whoever is on that outside, and he's clearing space, and he's also athletic enough to quickly adjust. Like you saw last week on that first series for the Titans, he blows that play up in the backfield. Right. However, unable to get the tackle, still chases down Pollard with a diving attempt and limits to a 2-yard gain. Like, there's a lot of guys that can make that initial burst,
but then to be able to have afterwards, right?
The athleticism to redirect is that's why you're a first round pick, and you're starting to see a little bit more of it with 95.
And also, I do want to give a shout out to Soder here in the chat on YouTube.
Soder,
talking about Stokes and the work he's done. Shout out to Eric Stokes, because, man, Lord knows it looked rough last year. Now, we all know he was dealing with an injury, but he was forced to play probably more snaps this week than they had planned because of the Valentine injury, which, man, I really hope Valentine can get back from that ankle, because he looked good against the Colts.
Really good. Yep.
But Stokes, I mean, you're going to get targeted. You're going to see business, because it's going to be rare days when you're throwing at Jair, especially now that he's put that pick 6 on tape.
Yeah,
you got to think all week long, every offensive coordinator is going to be talking to his quarterback like, look, just try and stay away from 23. Let's make sure we're calling plays and making sure we're got our eyes away from wherever the heck 23 is. So Stokes is going to see more and more of this. And so far, he's really answered the bell. You got to appreciate that.
And on the other side, I think we got to talk about that matchup, because we've now gone 4 segments and not addressed maybe the main event of Sunday.
Well, we're saving it. It's like you got to eat that, those vegetables first.
So we crescendo here next.
You get through the main course, and now we're ready for some dessert.
23 against 18, must see TV. And for one final thing on Eric Stokes, at least for me, Eric, better men than you. Better men than you have been boxed out and scored upon by DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I'm sorry.
It happens, man.
He's going to, that little chicken wing push off that Matt LaFleur didn't like, but it's textbook. DeAndre Hopkins going to.
Michael Irvin got into the Hall of Fame with that thing. So
DeAndre Hopkins is going to do the same thing, Nags. He's going to get a gold jacket for that exact same reason, and then big old paws just mitten that thing right by the goal line. Listen. Yeah. Better guys than you have done it, Eric Stokes. Don't worry about it.
Don't you worry about it, Stokesy.
And let's be ready to take out that speed racer of Jordan Addison this weekend. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to.
That's good. No, you're fine. You're fine. Before we hit,
you might be asleep at the wheel there on that offense. We need to take advantage.
I'm just gonna go a little AMSR. Oh, now we're ready. We're ready for the home stretch. We are ready for the home stretch. Some carry the G cream ale there, sir. We are back in business at Shea Nagler. If you are in the greater Wisconsin area, if you can hear my voice, there is some Carry the G cream ale on a shelf at a store near you. Get yourself the best cream ale in the land. Carry the G cream ale, the official beer of Cheesehead TV.
And can we make it and I'm going to be a part of this, Nags, because I apologize for not at this moment. Next week, for this radio program,
yes, sir.
It's a Carry the G cream ale special day, because not only will we be talking about the now then 3-1 Green Bay Packers after beating the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes, sir.
But it's going to be day 1 of the Brewers playoff run, and it feels like a great time to be carrying the G into the postseason for those blue and gold boys as well. Come on now.
Absolutely love it.
Toasting next week with a victory and playoff baseball with Carry the G cream ale. If everybody doesn't have a 4-pack next to them, you're not doing the show right next week.
Get up, get on it.
Give you a little foreshadowing, all right? You got 7 days to get your homework in.
Head to cheeseheadtv.com.
Thank you.
There's a tab that says beer. Click on that. There's an interactive map where you just put in your zip code, and it will show you Where in the great state of Wisconsin Carry the G cream ale is available closest to you?
They make it easier than anyone else. Make it easier than anyone else to go get that cream ale. Ooh, taking a big old swig. I'm so jealous.
Some of us are at work, Billy. Some of us are just living our life. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, this sure beats working. Talking to Aaron Nagler on Carry the G Radio, the podcast radio show on Cheesehead TV's YouTube channel and 97.3 The Game.
Care of the G Radio coming down a bit of the home stretch. We got a segment or two to go. We're holding it down here in New York City. Aaron Nagler coming to you live with Bill Schmid, operating things, pushing the buttons, making you feel all the feels when it comes to the sonorous tones.
Yeah, we are.
Whether it's the music, whether it's the takes. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers here on Care of the G Radio because that's what we do each and every Tuesday during the season. I do love and appreciate that someone did reach out and say, like, where's Mike Keller? Because, you know, if I was a daily listener, like a diehard fan of Mike Keller,
like you are of 9 to noon.
Yeah. I too would be like, what is going on right now? I would. This is definitely not the Mike Keller vibe. You know what I'm saying?
No. Listen, the show that was voted the most boring radio show on the station on his Twitter account, like it's definitely a little bit different. Oh, you didn't hear that story?
You almost got me to snarf there. That was really good.
Well you didn't hear that story?
No,
because Mike Keller has a deal during the offseason where he fires off a staff poll question on Wednesdays, right? He has a poll question each day. Sure, so the staff poll question, which is maybe my favorite bit weekly on the Mike Keller show, is in one roundabout way, who do you like the most on the radio station? Like, essentially, that does come into play. And Mike, love the man. And my man did say, what's the most boring show on the radio station?
He put it out there?
He put it out there, and surprisingly, you know, won in a landslide. Now, you ask for that, but he tags it, and guess what? You get a win. So you have something to hang your hat on.
Is that his new is that his new intro? Like, does he say that as it's only on the air?
It's only on like the sales pitches. Like, listen, you could endorse.
I was just gonna say, what? So the sales go out for 97.3 the game, and are like, you know, if you're looking for the cure for insomnia, listen to Mike Keller. Like, is that the idea? Like,
well, and guess what? It's winning because, I mean, load it up. We have people asking us why these commercial breaks are so loud because people want to buy on the Mike Keller show because my man's a 20-year vet of this building. It makes sense. I do get it. And also, let's be honest. You are coming here to talk sports. We do interrupt the right one because Mike Keller probably talks the most sports out of all of us. Right. You know, because we talk about a bunch of dumb random
sorts
stuff
of
like
nonsense,
food
right?
And all that other good, happy stuff.
Or
so
beer,
we talk about beer and football.
That's it.
And it fits very well into the Mike Keller show, noon to 3.
Also want to give a shout out to my good friend Kyle Cousineau, who is apparently listening on the YouTube channel. Kyle saying it's 2:20 somewhere is the new. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Ain't it?
That is.
I'm like, look, man, it's no different than having a beer with lunch. I mean, I don't think there's anything untoward about that.
Yeah,
nothing, no issue here.
I thought that's a part of what, you know, the business life was. Now, we had somebody tell us that we don't know business because we don't want to hold coaches accountable and fire them. But
yeah, because every time someone messes up at work, they get fired instantly.
See ya.
Like, what
Get out of here.
World are you living in? Also, don't ever equate real life with the NFL because the NFL exists in a bubble that has no relationship to real life.
Yeah,
at all.
Perfectly stated. Perfectly.
I mean, that's what blows my mind when these folks out there are like, well, at my job, is your job broadcast to millions of people? Do these humongous broadcast corporations and tech companies pay literally billions of dollars for the right to broadcast you at work? No, then stop. Just stop talking about how whatever's happening in the NFL, how it relates to your job. It doesn't ever.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Just rip it away from your lexicon.
Yeah.
You're just wasting your breath. That's all you're
doing. What a jerk, me, and spitting facts like that. It's just incredible stuff.
It's just funny to me. People are like, well, at my work, I could never. Yeah, you know why? Because no one cares. No one cares. Do your job, do it well, get paid, go
fire
home.
Drop.
No one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. Sorry. No one really does.
People care about the NFL. They don't care about you at your gig, whatever it is. They don't care. You care about it. Your family cares about it.
Yes, and you should.
No question.
No doubt about it.
Be prideful in your work. Do your work. I'm all in. That's great. No one cares.
You know what people care about?
What's that?
Nags? How on earth are we going to make sure that we cover Justin Jefferson like the Packers should at Lambeau Field? Now, I do believe that this was there was a lot of conversation about Jair Alexander just like sitting there waiting for Jeff Hafley to take over. Once his first day, he's in the office talking to him saying, hey boss, what's going on? Appreciate it. Welcome to the club. I travel with the best receiver. So I wonder if that was like one of the first 7 things that was talked about.
Yeah, right.
One of the first initial throws into the game plan as they already started working ahead towards week 4. We need to see Jair Alexander grittying right on top of Justin Jefferson. I hope that's the same case. But this is a dude that you want to talk about highly motivated. Last time he played at Lambeau, because remember, he was out a year ago when Cousins and company came in here and dominated for the first half.
Walked up and down the field,
Last time he was here at Lambeau, it was a January day, and he was sliding all over the place, and you got a beautiful piece of merch out of that deal.
We did that the Packers made us shut down, but it is still a collector's item. And it's a beautiful shot of, or a beautiful drawing of Jair Alexander doing the gritty right over Justin Jefferson. I don't know if we get that kind of moment again this week. I do think, obviously, that is a big ticket item. That is something that everyone will be paying attention to. I don't know if that's the straight up call, though, from Hafley. I do wonder if they go kind of old school Belichick here. Stokes and a safety at all times, traveling, paying attention to, and or essentially taking Justin Jefferson for the majority of the game, and then sliding Jair over to whoever they think number 2 or number 3 is.
Okay. That would be interesting.
Asking him to just take that out of the game.
Because if Jordan Addison's on the field, like that's a
big question, right?
It's a big question. He has not been very available throughout the season due to injuries.
Dealing injuries all year long.
But he is a dynamic weapon on the outside as well, and one that they haven't really had to unwrap here. It's also, we talked about it, I thought it was a good time to catch Tennessee. Now, maybe I like their players better than they actually are, right? Maybe J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski aren't going to figure it out. I think they will. I think their offensive line could get better. They got no chance right now. Later in the season, maybe that's a different outfit. Later in the season, different way of playing the Minnesota Vikings because TJ Hawkinson probably on the field. You can assume that we'll see Jordan Addison there.
Man, good.
It's a big break to not get them with him on the field because I saw a lot of people asking what is Xavier McKinney's situation with Hawkinson, their tight end on the field. He won't play. He is still on the PUP. Yeah. That's a big win for Green Bay coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a monster because he is a problem. He is a huge problem. He has been pretty much the entire time he's been in Minnesota. I'm like we talked about at the top of the show. To me, this whole thing runs through Aaron Jones. If you're the Vikings, yes, Jefferson is a big, huge talent, and you definitely want to get him the ball, and they will scheme him up. I have zero doubt about it. But man, it's all about Aaron Jones in this game. I gotta think if you're, O'Connell, and you're trying to, get the ball out of your quarterback's hands as quickly as possible, which I think is the brief, right? You don't want to be taking these 5-7 step drops trying to find Jefferson down the field. You want the ball out of Darnold's hand as quick as possible. And the easiest outlet to do that is to throw it to Aaron Jones, whether in the flat, an angle route, a Texas route, what have you. Like, get him the ball in space and let him go to work. I think that's going to be the brief. And I do think they'll try to run the ball, of course, but man, I just think the way they're going to try and get Aaron Jones involved early and often and try and run the offense through him this week. And they've kind of essentially been doing that. They certainly did it against the Texans and were very successful doing it. I think that's only going to increase. That's the other thing. I don't think Aaron Jones has even hit his stride yet. I mean, Aaron's in a new offense, right?
Yeah.
Got a different quarterback, different system, etc. He's played well, but he's improving throughout this season so far. And I think that's, obviously if you're the Vikings, that's your plan. That's your hope. To me, if you're Hafley, that's my number one. You know how we always used to hear about, Belichick, but other coordinators back in the day, like, who's the guy who can kill us? Who's the guy who can really hurt us? How do we take him away? Obviously, Jefferson is your kind of de facto, the default answer here.
Yes, he is.
In this game, I think it starts and ends with Aaron Jones. I really do.
And I'd be interested to see that. Like, I get it. I understand why. And Matt LaFleur has shown an openness to doing it. Now, these coordinators and play callers, Nags, that played quarterback, They want to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
They want to throw the football. I understand that there are a lot of things that defenses will do to scheme you out of it, to try to make it even more difficult, to tell you to run the football. These guys want to throw it. They want to throw it. Yep. So, like, as much as I think, Aaron Jones is a great investment if you're going higher on the Underdog Fantasy app for your NFL picks this weekend. Right. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Billy. Great deal. You might want to. However, Nags, they're going to throw it. They're going to throw it. They want to throw the ball. These coaches want to throw the football. So as much as it feels like, it's for sure Aaron Jones' revenge game, he's going to run all over the place. They're going to hand it to him 20 times. I'd take the under. Now, maybe if it's rushing and receiving yards,
there's
I'll be more interested.
Thing. There it is. I mean, he had 6 targets.
He
had 6 targets against the Texans in the passing game, caught 5 of those for 46 yards and a touchdown on a really nicely designed play, by the way. That touchdown was really well drawn up. But he also was handed the ball 19 times, 102 yards, 5.4 on the average. I mean,
in a game that they were winning by multiple scores. Yeah.
That's a good day at the office for any running back. But for Aaron Jones, who we know his usage was, I'm not going to say limited, but it was certainly monitored while he was in Green Bay.
Held in check, yeah.
Matt LaFleur wanted to make sure he was fresh at, the end of the season, whatever. Man, O'Connell has not shied away. And I did wonder when Jones signed that contract, like, look, I understand he's trying to maybe get back at the Packers. They will certainly use him in the passing game. But O'Connell's not the kind of guy, to your point, that wants to pound the rock. He's not a guy who wants to hand the ball to the running back, especially not 20 times a game. But they're coming off a game where he got the ball in the running game 19 times. To me, it just suggests, I mean, his whole usage so far this year, through these first 3 games, this thing runs through Aaron Jones. You're not asking Darnold to be a superhuman hero, right? Teams are going to be paying attention to Jefferson. You don't have Hawkinson. You probably don't have Addison. It's all running through Aaron Jones. So, to me, that's it. That's the whole key. And look, yes, the narrative fits. The revenge game, trying to go back into Lambeau and prove to them they made a mistake, not unlike Favre back in the day. I get that part of it, and that is certainly going to be talked about and is going to be part of the conversation around this game. But I think just from a football standpoint, if you're the Vikings, it makes a world of sense.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I get it. It all sounds well and good, but it continues to be a trend around the league. I know they want you to run it. There's going to be a lot of too high trying to bait you into running it.
Right.
Run it. Do it. Because teams don't
we
want
have
to.
reached that
I'll
point,
see if they do it.
I'll see
if they end up doing it.
All the too high stuff and teams begging you to run the ball, and people try to, and some are successful, some are not. But if you're a defensive coordinator in 2024, okay, keep running it because points don't come out of the running game.
Yeah, I'm going to be okay if you do that.
You got to throw to
score. I appreciate it.
You know what I mean? Like, eventually, especially if you're running the ball 8-9 times in a row and or even just in a drive, eventually you're going to have a holding penalty. Eventually you're going to mess up and we're going to run fit correctly and we're going to stop you, and it's going to be 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 9. And then it's going to be 3rd and long in an obvious passing situation. And then we can release the beasts that are these insane pass rushers in the NFL. People are wondering, like, whoa, scoring's down, like quarterback play isn't what it was, etc. Well, yeah, because they know no one's sitting back and buttoning it up and running it 40 times a game. They can't. You can't.
And they don't want to
do it.
They don't want to.
No.
They don't want to.
Absolutely not.
These coordinators want to throw the ball. Darnold sacked 4 times in week 3, even though it was not a day at the office that the Houston Texans will be happy for defensively.
Caring about.
They still were able to get there a couple of different times. All right, let's make the dreams come true. Let's give our picks on the other side. That's Aaron Nagler. I'm Billy Schmid. Carry the G Radio continues. One final segment right here on the game after this.
Carry the G Radio in the home stretch. Aaron Nagler here. So good to be with each and every one of you listening to myself and Bill Schmid there in the greater Milwaukee area, all throughout the great state of Wisconsin, where you can find yourself an ice cold can of Carry the G Cream Ale, the official beer of Cheesehead TV. You know you want to do it. You want to head into this Tuesday evening with some, some refreshment, a way to sit back, relax, and get in the mindset of curb stomping the Vikings on Sunday afternoon at Lambeau Field.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And Nags, maybe you need some Carry the G Cream Ale because you were listening to the tail end of 9 to noon today when it looked like I may have urged John Kuhn to go and grab himself a Carry the G Cream Ale or several.
He needs to do it.
When I brought up and played on our takeaway of the day that today, 12 years ago. Do you know what happened 12 years ago today?
Fail Mary.
Yeah, a good moment where all of a sudden John took a deep breath and I could see him like shaking his head like, damn, I'm right back in that Seahawks visiting locker room. Frustrated as all get out from that moment. I mean, just a remarkable flashback in time to incompetency at a extreme level in the NFL.
Here's my question. Did the Green Bay Packers as an organization ever get a thank you from the other 31 owners in the NFL? I think every Green Bay Packers fan who has a stock certificate and is an owner of the Green Bay Packers should get a thank you, because literally after that game, they
next day
got the deal done with the officials to bring them back. All it took was, the Packers getting hosed in front of the entire nation for them to go, oh, yeah, we should really pay these guys. Okay, good.
It's remarkable. It was funny. We started the show this morning with a really robust referee debate. And now you and I, against our friend Steve Zabin on this radio station, you and I are big on the full-time officials.
Yes, sir.
Now, there's also a thought that like you should be able to take time, space, continuum. You should be able to halt time, depend on the moment, severity of it, potentially swallow the whistle in a certain position, certain time. That was a moment when the NFL looked and said, for this game to be as good as it needs to be and as good as it is, we can't have this. We can't have this.
It's not going to work.
It is funny, though, and that is now for my lifetime, Nags. It has become, and I love that you're still playing catch. Like that is a beautiful aesthetic that I'm going to bring a football into the studio for.
Gotta have it. It gets me in a groove. For those of you
good
listening
natural motion
and aren't watching on the YouTube channel, I have a small little football here, and I just like to throw
playing
it up
some
and
catch.
It while I'm
you got to play some catch with it.
I do.
Being able to show a younger audience that, yes, the business of sports doesn't always curtail to dollars and cents, right? Like, hey, if they think they're saving money, they will short you. Like, you will get hosed
every single time,
and they'll try to penny pinch as much as possible.
Look no further than the fact that we are still utilizing octogenarian dudes running up and down the field with the chain gangs each and every NFL game. Okay. They have the technology.
Yeah, but
we still got dudes.
But that's because it's aesthetically pleasing.
Running up and down. I don't care.
Yeah. That's because that's aesthetically pleasing. I actually think right by the chain gang crew, because in the whole like media area, there's little nooks and crannies of that back area where you find, and I accidentally walked the wrong way. Just trying to find a bathroom. Just naturally trying to find a bathroom.
It happens.
They were rocking and rolling after that Colts-Packers game. They're like, well, this was the quickest game ever here on the chain gang.
All that running.
Deal. Yeah. And no measurements. They're like, this was a great day. That seems like a place that I want to be hanging out in, is the chain gang locker room. That looks like a fun,
I'm sure they were making plans to go to a local watering hole afterwards, too. Like, you love that. Back in the day, they would have been going to Fuzzies, but I don't know where that would be.
True. Yeah.
Green Bay area. I'm out. See, it's not my scene anymore, Billy.
Yeah. I also
my scene.
You are a true professional for just skating right past that throw-in by me. I just remarkable work. That's why you're a true proven professional. When somebody asks what the relationship with 97.3 The Game and Carry the G is, carrying the G is what Packer fans do. It's what this man does better than just about anybody I've ever met. And we carry the G and we bring it to people on the home for the green and gold with Carry the G Radio and Carry the G Cream Ale. That's the relationship. It's Packers love and fandom.
Just carrying the G wherever you go, knowing that there are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days, but at the end of the day, we all love the Green Bay Packers. That's what it's all about.
And we all hate the Minnesota Vikings. And as Preston Meyer on a super chat did throw in here, urgent question, Nags. Do the Bears still suck?
You better believe it.
Thanks, Preston. Any chance we have to drop that thing in here right at the end of Carry the G radio, the podcast radio show, Nags, I think we have to throw in.
Got to do it. Have to do it.
All right, your final tip.
That was a good run. It was a good run today.
We ripped through that tape. That was a dynamite performance.
I'm just saying, like, that first hour went by so fast. I couldn't believe that we were on hour 2, and now we're here at the end of the show. Man, it was like we were running the ball 40 times this game, and we just kept picking up first downs.
Yeah,
took the air out of the game, and scored more points than the other guy. It's good.
I like it.
Good shift today.
That works for a victory. Let's do it again coming up next week on Tuesday at noon.
That's what I'm talking about. Bill Schmid, Aaron Nagler, Carry the G Radio. Get yourself some Carry the G Cream Ale wherever you find it on store shelves across the great state of Wisconsin. Billy, always the best. Go Pack, go.